Hey folks, Brandon here. It's that wonderful time of the year again. A little weird considering my last vid happened around this time, but whatever. It's the holiday season. Time for sharing memories, giving gifts, and just all around fun. With Christmas well on its way here, I believe it's time to discuss something quite personal with y'all. Not in the same vein as how I talked about All Outs Go to Heaven last year, but close. With that said, let's talk about what you're all thinking about. What the hell is the Lion Guard? What, y'all thought I was going to talk about something more Christmas related? Well, meh. For those of you who are not aware or even care, Disney just released a movie pilot for their new show called The Lion Guard, Return of the Roar. Now, of course, I had to watch this myself, given that The Lion King is one of my favorite movies ever. Seriously, I have the first one still on VHS, Blu-ray, and this plushie of Simba, which my cats don't like. Supposedly this show actually takes place between the events of Lion King and Lion King 2, and yes, for those of you who had no idea or didn't know, there was in fact a Lion King 2. It wasn't as great as the first one, but not necessarily a bad movie either. It was pretty okay for what it was worth. Some memorable characters and songs, but lacking what made the first one so good. When I heard about this show, I was generally happy, considering that Disney was finally doing something more with The Lion King. That and the previous installment wasn't very good, and you know I'm not talking about Lion King 2. Our story follows Kion, Simba and Nala's son, who upon discovering he has the gift of the mighty roar is slated to become the latest leader of the Lion Guard, a guild of lions assembled to protect the Pride Lands and keep balance to the Circle of Life. Now this was quite the concept to go with. It sets up a much needed adventurous feel for a show. There's something to help, there's something to protect, and our characters need to defend that. Speaking of characters, most of your favorites have returned, including Simba, Nala, Timon, Pumbaa, Rafiki, and even Kiara from Lion King 2. But let's get to our new little lion cub, Kion. He's cute, adventurous, and laid back, but not to the point of being a little jerk. Plus he looks like Simba, but with an adorable little mohawk. Of course, we have a few new characters that make up the key elements of the Lion Guard. Bunga, a honey badger who is labeled the bravest, which is appropriate given that
honey badgers are just crazy.
Fully, a cheetah who is the fastest, obviously. Beshit, a hippo who is the strongest, and Ono, an Ingrid who has the keenness of sight, which sounds like the poor bird got the least interesting perk of the Lion Guard, but whatevs. Now these characters aren't really fully developed in this movie. In fact, most of what we know about them is their special abilities, and it's more likely that we're going to get these guys to develop properly as the show premieres and progresses them. Though that can be said with the exception of both Kion and Bunga. Now, I don't hate this honey badger by any means, and to be fair, he's sort of appealing with his cuteness, but this character is seriously being shoved in your face. Like, oh, isn't he so adorable? Isn't he hilarious? That and this whole thing with him spouting out a few Bunga puns.
Say what? Zukazama! It's unbelievable!
Wubba-lubba-dub-dub!
He even has his own saying that goes against Hakuna Matata. That, and they really try to hammer it in with a song. And yes, like most stuff involving Disney's, there are songs, which are okay for the most part, though one at the end comes off especially cheesy. Though that is made up with the background music, which fits in perfectly with the setting of the show. And considering the animation quality, I'm pretty impressed with how this looks. Yeah, it's not as great as the traditional hand-drawn animation of the first movie, but this is going to be a feature-length show. And considering what they had chosen, I think this more stylized look works as a good evolution for The Lion King. Now, since this is targeted to a younger market, there's going to be more obvious changes with the canon, in order to fit this whole Lion Guard thing. But it's always been quite the pet peeve of mine when established canon suddenly gets changed drastically. Now we get this whole spiel with Scar leading the original Lion Guard and trying to kill Mufasa, but the original Lion Guard refused, so he used the roar to destroy them, and therefore he no longer has the roar. It's all weird. And I get it, this is a new demographic, and it helps to reintroduce them to the Lion King. But did we really need to establish that the honey badger is the adopted nephew of both Timon and Pumbaa? Does this further anything? Is it that important? He already has an established purpose in the show, so why tie him to canon characters? With that said, I feel that the most successful thing that the Lion Guard did was capturing what made the Lion King good. There's always this sense of self-discovery that's tackled with these sort of stories. In the first movie, it was Simba trying to discover who he was. In the second movie, it was Kiara and Kovu figuring if their love was going to destroy or reunite the Pride Lands. And with Lion Guard, it's Kion discovering how he fits within the Circle of Life. Sort of the same way his dad did, but he's just a cub here, so he obviously still has a lot to learn. I'm hoping this show will progress with not only the path Kion takes as the lead of the Lion Guard, but show some of the struggle with that. This is a great opportunity to show kids some of the more important, if not difficult lessons life can offer. Considering they're working with a title where major characters can seemingly die tragically or not, I don't see why they can't. Now the show is slated for Disney Junior. I can doubt it too, but from what I've seen, I'm kind of looking forward to it. It's definitely more of a kids show, but not to the point with Disney Junior's other brain-numbing programs. This movie has a little more heart with it. I'm hoping they take that and follow it up with it when the show premieres next year. Thank you so much for watching me and supporting me throughout these years. I know I've been off and on with making vids, but I'm hoping to get my butt in gear to make this channel even better than what it used to be. If you like the adorable little furry version of me you see here, well please support the artist on Patreon. His name is Novelty and his work is fantastic. If you like silly podcasts with two dudes talking nonsense, then check out Morning Babble. It's a morning podcast show made by my brother and I where we get up bright and early, watch TV, and chat about what's going on. Now the show is uncensored, so expect more adult language with it. I mean, it's us getting up early, we're tired, we say weird things, it happens. And of course, given the season, let me wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays to everyone out there. And like I always mention, celebrate what Christmas means to you. Whether it's sharing with friends, singing with family, or just getting wasted with eggnog. It's totally up to you. Thanks again guys, and as always, I will see you all next year.